This tale is part of the larger story of the porter and the three ladies of Baghdad, told by Scheherazade on the ninth night of her storytelling to King Shahryar. In the name of Allah, the Compassionate, the Merciful, know that on a certain evening in Baghdad during the reign of Caliph Harun al-Rashid, while a porter sat drinking and making merry with three mysterious ladies in their magnificent house, there came a knocking at the gate. The portress went to see who it was, then returned saying,
"Truly, our pleasure tonight will be complete. There are 3 foreign calendars at the door with shaven heads and chins, and every one blind of the right eye, which is a strange coincidence. They are fresh from traveling and new to Baghdad. They ask if we might let them sleep in a stable or outhouse. Shall we let them in? They will make us sport tonight."
She persuaded her sisters until they said,
"Let them come in, but on condition that they ask no questions of what does not concern them."
The 3 calendars entered, each a wandering mendicant who had shaved his beard and eyebrows and renounced the world. What made them extraordinary was that each had lost his right eye under circumstances so remarkable that the loss itself seemed like a tale from the storyteller's bazaars rather than the experience of mortal men. The ladies welcomed them and made them sit down. The calendars saw the pleasant place with food and wine and flowers, and the 3 beautiful ladies with unveiled faces, and said with one voice,
"By God, this is good!"
They looked at the porter and saw that he was tipsy, and took him for a calendar like themselves. The porter rose and fixed his eyes on them, saying,
"Sit still, and do not meddle. Have you not read what is written on the door?"
The ladies laughed and made peace between them. They ate and drank, and the portress brought out musical instruments, a tambourine, a lute, and a Persian harp. Each calendar took one and played and sang, and the girls joined in lustily. Later, when the caliph himself arrived in disguise with his vizier and executioner, the gathering became stranger still. After witnessing mysterious rituals involving 2 black bitches and a lady with scars of beating, the guests could not contain their curiosity. Despite the warning written in gold above the door, "He who speaks of what does not concern him shall hear what will not please him," they demanded explanations. The mistress of the house was enraged.
"By God, guests, you have done us a grievous wrong."
She struck the floor 3 times, and 7 black slaves appeared with drawn swords.
"Bind these meddlers' hands behind them."
When the slaves asked if they should strike off their heads, she said,
"Wait a while until I question them."
The lady questioned the calendars.
"Are you brothers?"
They answered,
"No, we are only poor men who happen to share the same misfortune."
When pressed further, they confessed,
"By God, mistress, each of us comes from a different country and is the son of a king."
The lady turned to all the guests and declared,
"Let each of you tell his story and then go his way. But whoever refuses, I will cut off his head."
The porter spoke first, telling his simple story, then the calendars began to speak, each in turn, and each would reveal how a prince became a one-eyed wandering mendicant. And so the first calendar began his story.
"My father was a king, and he had a brother who was also a king over another city. My uncle had a son and a daughter, and it chanced that my cousin and I were born on the same day and grew up together with great affection between us. When I reached manhood, I would visit my uncle's kingdom and stay for months at a time. On one such visit, I found my uncle absent on a hunting expedition. My cousin received me with courtesy, and we sat drinking wine together. When the wine had taken effect, my cousin made me swear a solemn oath to do his bidding. Then he brought a veiled lady, richly dressed, and told me to take her to the burial ground to a certain sepulchre. I could not refuse because of my oath. I took the lady to the cemetery and entered the tomb my cousin had described. He soon joined us, carrying water, plaster, and an adze. He loosened the stones of a tomb, and dug until he uncovered an iron trapdoor. Beneath it was a winding stair.
Make your choice.
She descended the stair, and he said to me,
When I have gone down, replace the trapdoor, throw back the earth, and rebuild the tomb with the plaster so none can tell it has been opened. This is the service I ask of you.
Then he descended the stair. I did as he commanded, though I was drunk and troubled. I returned to the palace and found my uncle still away. Next morning, I thought it must have been a dream. I sought my cousin, but no one could give me news of him. For 7 days I searched the burial ground, but could not find the tomb. Finally, I could bear it no longer and decided to return to my father. But as I entered my father's capital, men seized me and bound my hands. I was amazed. I was the Sultan's son, and these were his servants. They would tell me nothing. But one who had been my servant whispered,
Fortune has betrayed your father. The troops deserted him, the vizier killed him and seized the throne, and we have been ordered to capture you.
Now, there was an old feud between me and this vizier. I had once been shooting with a pellet bow from my palace terrace when a bird landed on the vizier's house. I shot at the bird, but the pellet struck the vizier's eye and put it out. He dared say nothing because I was the Sultan's son, but he harbored deadly hatred. When they brought me before him, he commanded my head be struck off. I said, For what crime will you kill me? He pointed to his ruined eye. I said, That I did by accident. He replied,
If you did it by accident, I will do the same with intent.
He ordered his men to bring me near, thrust his finger into my right eye, and pulled it out. Then he had me bound hand and foot, placed in a chest, and told his headsmen,
Take him to the desert and kill him.
The headsman carried me into the desert, took me from the chest, and would have blindfolded me to slay me. But I wept until I made him weep also. He had been my father's headsman, and I had shown him kindness. He said,
I am but a slave commanded, but I cannot do this. Flee for your life and never return to this country, or you are lost and I with you.
I kissed his hands and wandered until I reached my uncle's capital. I went to him and told him what had befallen my father and myself. He wept bitterly and said,
You add sorrow to my sorrow. Your cousin has been missing for many days. I know not what has become of him.
Then he wept until he fainted. When he recovered, I told him all that had happened with my cousin. He rejoiced to hear news of his son and said,
Show me the tomb.
By Allah, Uncle, I have searched many times but cannot find it. We went to the burial ground and looked until at last I found it. We rejoiced and entered, removed the earth, raised the trapdoor, and descended 50 steps. At the bottom, we were met by smoke that blinded our eyes. My uncle pronounced the words,
There is no power and no virtue, but in God the Most High, the Supreme.
We went on and found ourselves in a chamber built upon columns, with a cistern in its midst and supplies of food. At the far end was a couch with a canopy. My uncle went to the bed and drew the curtains. He found his son and the lady in each other's arms, but they had become black coal, as if cast into a well of fire. When he saw this, my uncle spat in his son's face and struck him with his shoe, crying,
You have your deserts. This is your punishment in this world. But a far sorer punishment awaits you in the next.
I was amazed and said, Is not what has befallen him enough, but you must beat him? He replied,
O nephew, this my son was from his earliest youth madly enamored of his own sister. I forbade him from her, thinking they were but children. But when they grew up, sin befell between them. I heard of it and took him aside, warning him severely that such a thing would bring dishonor forever. I shut her away and kept them apart. But this accursed one made this place under the earth and brought her here with supplies, thinking to enjoy her in secret. The wrath of God descended on them and consumed them with fire. There awaits them in the world to come an even more terrible punishment.
Then he wept, and I wept with him. He said,
From this day, you are my son in his stead.
We ascended, replaced the trapdoor, and restored the tomb. But hardly had we returned to the palace when we heard drums and trumpets and the thunder of cavalry. The vizier who had killed my father had raised an army and descended upon the city with overwhelming force. The people surrendered. My uncle was killed. I fled to the outskirts, knowing that if I fell into the vizier's hands, he would kill me. I shaved my beard and eyebrows, put on a calendar's robe, and made my way here to Baghdad, hoping that someone might bring me before the commander of the faithful, that I might tell him my tale. I arrived today and stood perplexed, not knowing where to go, when I saw the second calendar. I saluted him, saying, I am a stranger. And he replied,
I also am a stranger.
Presently our comrade, the third calendar, came up and greeted us, saying,
I am a stranger.
We answered, We also are strangers. So we walked on together until darkness overtook us, and destiny led us to this door.
And so the second calendar began his story.
I am a king's son. My father taught me to read and write. I memorized the Quran and studied under learned professors until I surpassed all in penmanship and knowledge. The king of India heard of me and sent my father with gifts, asking that I come to his court. My father fitted out 6 ships, and we sailed for a month until we made landfall. We brought out the horses from the ships and loaded 10 camels with presents. We had not gone far when a great dust arose. It lifted to reveal 50 horsemen, Arab bandits. They saw we were a small company and attacked with leveled spears. We indicated we were ambassadors to the king of India, but they replied they were not in his dominions. They fell upon us, killed some by men, and put the rest to flight. I also fled, wounded, while they seized the baggage. I wandered alone until I reached a city that was safe and pleasant. Winter had passed, and spring had come with its flowers and warbling birds. I was glad to reach safety, but grieved to enter in such sorry condition. I met a tailor in his shop. I saluted him, and he welcomed me kindly, seeing I was a stranger of gentle birth. I told him all that had befallen me, and he was concerned. He warned me,
Do not reveal yourself to anyone. The king of this city is your father's greatest enemy and has a mortal feud against him.
He gave me food and lodging. After 3 days, he asked if I knew any craft. I said I was a scholar, scribe, and mathematician. He said,
Your skills are not in demand here. Only money-getting matters. Take this axe and cord, go to the desert, and cut firewood for your living until God sends relief. Tell no one who you are, or they will kill you.
So I became a woodcutter. For a whole year, I cut wood and sold it, saving what I could. One day, I strayed into a tract full of trees and found the gnarled stump of a great tree. I dug around it, and my axe struck a brass ring attached to a wooden trapdoor. I raised it and found a stair. I descended until I came to a vaulted hall of goodly structure. There I saw a maiden like a pearl of great price, whose beauty banished care, and whose speech healed the troubled soul. When she saw me, she turned pale and said,
Are you a man or a jinn?
I am a man.
Who brought you to this place where I have lived 25 years without seeing a man?
Her speech was sweet to me. I told her all that had befallen me, and she wept. Then she said,
I will tell you my story. I am the daughter of King Ephidamus, Lord of the Ebony Islands. I was to marry my cousin, but on my wedding night, An Afrit called Jurges ben Rejmus carried me off and set me here with all I need. He comes once every 10 days and stays one night. He has agreed that if I need him between visits, I need only touch these 2 lines engraved here, and he will appear instantly. It has been 4 days since he came. 6 days remain before he returns. Will you stay with me for 5 days and leave before he comes?
Gladly. She led me to a bath, gave me new clothes, and we sat conversing and drinking sherbet. She brought food and wine, and we talked late into the night. For a time, delight succeeded delight. My grief and anxiety fell away, and I forgot the world above. One day, after I had drunk too much wine, pride and drunkenness overcame me. I rose staggering and said, "Come, O fair one, I will carry you up from under the earth and rid you of this Afrit." She laughed, but her laughter was frightened. She said,
Be content and hold your peace. 1 day in 10 is his, and the other 9 are yours. Do not ruin us.
But I would not listen. In my folly, I cried that I would break the place where the charm was set and summon him to fight him then and there. She begged me to stop. I kicked the alcove where the talisman was engraved. Immediately the hall grew dark. Thunder rolled, lightning flashed, and the earth trembled as if the world were breaking. The fumes of wine left my head at once. She cried,
The Afrit is upon us. By God, you have undone me. Fly for your life. Return by the way you came.
I ran for the stair and climbed in terror. In my panic, I forgot my sandals and my hatchet below. Halfway up, I looked back and saw the ground cleave open. Out rose an Afrit of hideous aspect. He questioned her, and she tried to excuse herself, saying she had drunk a little wine and stumbled against the alcove. But he searched and soon saw the hatchet and sandals. He said,
These are a man's gear. Who has been with you?
When she denied it, he called her a liar, stripped her, bound her hands and feet, and tortured her to make her confess. I could not bear to hear her crying, yet I dared not go down. I reached the top, replaced the trapdoor, and covered it with earth. I repented bitterly of my meddling and my pride. I returned to the tailor, who had been anxious for me. I shut myself in my chamber, cursing my foolishness. Presently the tailor came to me and said,
There is an old man, a foreigner, asking for you. He carries your axe and sandals. He says he found them and seeks their owner.
At his words my color changed, and fear made me sick. But before I could answer, the floor split open. Up came the stranger, and it was the Afrit himself disguised. He said,
As sure as I am Jurges of the lineage of Iblis, I will find the owner of this axe and these sandals and bring him back.
He snatched me up without a word, flew high into the air, then plunged into the ground. He brought me to the underground palace, where I saw the lady stretched naked, blood running from her sides. He said to her,
Wicked woman, is not this your lover?
She looked at me and said,
I know not this man, nor have I ever seen him.
Will you not confess after all this torture?
I never saw him in my life. God forbid I should lie against him and have you kill him.
Then, if you know him not, take this sword and cut off his head.
She took the sword and came to stand at my head. I signed to her with my eyebrows while tears ran down my cheeks. She understood and signed back to me as if to say, You have brought all this upon us. I answered with my eyes that this was a time for forgiveness. She threw down the sword.
You cannot kill your lover because he has lain with you. It is only like that pity's like.
He turned to me and said,
Do you not know this woman?
Who is she? I never saw her until now.
Then take this sword and strike off her head, and I will believe you know her not and let you go.
I took the sword and went up to her briskly, but she signed to me with her eyebrows as if to say, What harm have I done you? Will you repay me thus? I understood and replied with my eyes, I will ransom you with my life. Then my eyes ran over with tears, and I said, O mighty Afrit, if a woman lacking sense and religion deems it unlawful to strike off my head, how can I, who am a man, bring myself to slay her whom I never saw in my life? I will not do it, though I drink the cup of death and ruin. I threw down the sword. He said,
You show the good understanding between you, but I will let you see the issue of your doings.
He took the sword and cut off her hands and feet in 4 strokes. I watched, certain of death, while she signed me a farewell with her eyes. He struck off her head. Then he turned to me and said,
Our law allows us to kill unfaithful wives. As for you, I am not certain you are her accomplice, but I must not let you go unharmed. I will grant you one favor. Choose whether I shall change you into a dog, an ass, or an ape.
I thought he would pardon me, but he gave me this choice. I said, Spare me, and God will reward you.
Do not multiply words. It is in my power to kill you, but I give you your choice.
I said, It would best become you to pardon me, even as the envied pardon the envier. I told him that tale, hoping to soften his heart. But he said only,
I will neither kill you nor let you go free, but I will assuredly enchant you.
He tore me from the ground, flew high until I saw the earth like a platter in the midst of water, then set me down on a mountain. He took earth, muttered magical words, and sprinkled me, saying,
Quit this shape for that of an ape.
Immediately I became an ape, 100 years old. He went away and left me. I saw myself in this ugly shape and wept, but I resigned myself to God's will. I descended the mountain and walked for a month until I reached the seashore. Presently a ship appeared, making for land with a fair wind. I hid behind a rock, and when the ship drew near, I jumped aboard. The passengers said, Turn this unlucky beast out. The captain said, Kill him. But I laid hold of the captain's skirts and wept. He took pity on me and said,
This ape appeals to me for protection. From this moment, he is under my safeguard. Let none molest him.
I understood all that was said and ministered to the captain's wants. He loved me for it. The ship sailed for 50 days until we anchored near a great city. Officers from the king came aboard and said,
Our king gives you joy of your safety and sends this scroll. Each of you must write a line on it, for the king's vizier, who was an excellent penman, has died. The king has sworn to make none vizier who cannot write as well as he did.
Each merchant who could write wrote a line. Then I rose and snatched the scroll from their hands. They cried out, fearing I would tear it, but I made signs that I would write. The captain said,
Let him try. If he scribbles, we will drive him away.
I took the pen and wrote in 6 different styles of calligraphy, each with verses praising generosity and good governance. When the officers saw this, they marveled and took the scroll to the king. He saw my writing and said,
Go to the writer of these lines and dress him in a robe of honor, mount him on a mule, and bring him with a band of music.
They smiled, and he grew angry and said,
I give an order and you laugh?
O king, he who wrote these lines is no man, but an ape belonging to the ship's captain.
I have a mind to buy this ape, bring him anyway in state with music.
They came and took me, dressed me in the robe, mounted me on the mule, and carried me in procession through the city. People crowded to gaze at me. When I reached the king's presence, I kissed the earth 3 times and sat on my heels. All marveled at my manners, and the king most of all. Food was brought. I ate with the king, washing my hands 7 times afterward. Then I took pen and ink and wrote verses about the feast. The king read them and said,
Strange that an ape should have such skill. This is a wonder of wonders.
They brought wine. I drank and wrote verses about it. The king read them and sighed, saying,
If a man had this wit, he would excel all the people of his age.
He called for a chessboard. I played 2 games with him and won both. Then he sent for his daughter, the Lady of Beauty. When she arrived and saw me, she veiled her face and said,
"Oh, my father, how is it that you send for me and show me to strange men?"
O my daughter, there is none here save the little slave, the eunuch who raised you, and myself. From whom do you veil your face?
This one you think is an ape is a wise and learned man, the son of a king. The Afrit Jurges of the lineage of Iblis enchanted him thus, after killing his own wife, the daughter of King Ephidemus.
Is this true?
I signed with my head yes and wept. He asked his daughter,
Whence do you know he was enchanted?
"Oh, my father, there was with me in my childhood an old woman skilled in magic who taught me its rules and practice. I became skilled and committed to memory 170 magical formulas. By the least of these, I could transport the stones of your city beyond Mount Seaf."
O my daughter, I beg you, by my life, disenchant this young man, that I may make him my vizier.
"With all my heart."
She took a knife engraved with Hebrew characters and drew a circle in the hall's midst. She wrote names and talismans and muttered charms. The world darkened, and the Afrit appeared in his true form, with hands like pitchforks, legs like masts, and eyes like flames of fire.
"An ill welcome to you, O dog!"
He became a lion and said,
O traitress, you have broken your compact with me.
"O accursed one! How could there be a compact between me and the like of you?"
He opened his mouth to rush at her, but she plucked a hair from her head, waved it in the air while muttering, and it became a sharp sword. She smote the lion and cut him in 2. His head became a scorpion. She transformed into a great serpent. A sore battle ensued. The scorpion changed to an eagle, and she became a griffin that pursued it. The eagle became a black cat. The griffin became a piebald wolf. They fought until the cat, finding itself beaten, changed into a worm and crept into a pomegranate lying beside the fountain. The pomegranate swelled until it was as big as a watermelon. The wolf ran to seize it, but it rose into the air and fell on the pavement, breaking into pieces. All the seeds scattered. The wolf shook itself and became a cock, which fell to picking up the seeds until they were all gone, except one that had rolled beside the basin and lay hidden. The cock crowed and clapped its wings, signing to us as if to ask whether any grains remained. We did not understand. He gave such a cry, we thought the palace would fall. He ran about until he saw the remaining seed. He rushed to pick it up, but it sprang into the water and became a fish that sank to the bottom. The cock became a bigger fish and plunged after it. We saw nothing of them, but heard loud crying and screaming. Then the Afrit rose from the water as a great flame, with fire and smoke issuing from his mouth and eyes. The princess rose also like a great coal of fire. They fought wrapped in flames until the hall filled with smoke. We were nearly suffocated and would have plunged into the water, fearing we would be burned up. The king said,
There's no power but in God. I was sitting at ease, but my curiosity would not let me be. Would God I had never urged my daughter to free this ape. We thought to do a kindness for the love of God, but we have brought this terrible ordeal upon ourselves.
Suddenly, the Afrit roared from under the flames and blew fire at us. The princess pursued him and blew flames back. Sparks from both fell on us. Her sparks did us no hurt, but one of his lighted on my right eye and destroyed it. Another fell on the king's face, burning away half his beard and making his teeth drop out. A third struck the eunuch's breast and killed him instantly. We despaired of life. Then we heard a voice crying,
"God is most great. He gives aid to the true believer and abandons the denier of Muhammad's faith."
The princess had burned up the Afrit and he was become a heap of ashes. She came to us and said,
Bring me a cup of water.
They did so. She spoke words over it we did not understand and sprinkled me, saying,
By the virtue of truth and the most great name of God, return to your original shape.
Immediately I shook and became a man as before, save that I had lost my right eye. Then she cried out,
The fire. Oh, my father, I have but an instant to live. I am not used to fighting with jinn. Had he been a man, I would have killed him long ago. I had no trouble until the pomegranate burst, and I overlooked the seed in which was the jinn's life. Had I picked it up, he would have died at once. But fate and destiny would have it otherwise. He came upon me unawares, and there befell between us a sore strife under earth, in air and in water. Each time I opened a gate of magic upon him, he opened another upon me, until he opened the gate of fire. Seldom does one escape alive when that gate opens. But God aided me against him, so that I consumed him after I summoned him to embrace Islam. As for me, I am a dead woman.
She called upon God for help and implored relief from the fire, until a tongue of flame broke from her clothes and shot to her breast, then to her face. She wept and said,
I testify that there is no God but God, and that Muhammad is the apostle of God.
We looked at her, and behold, she was a heap of ashes beside those of the jinn. We mourned her, and I wished I had been in her place. When the king saw his daughter reduced to ashes, he plucked out the rest of his beard and buffeted his face and rent his clothes. The chamberlains and grandees came and were amazed to find 2 heaps of ashes and the sultan in a swoon. When he revived, he told them what had happened. They were sore afflicted, and the women and slave girls shrieked and kept up lamentation for 7 days. The king built a great dome over his daughter's ashes and burned candles and lamps there. The Afrit's ashes he scattered to the winds with the malediction of God. The king was sick nearly unto death for a month. When health returned, he sent for me and said,
O youth, we led the happiest of lives until you came. Oh, that we had never seen you nor your ugly face. Through our taking pity on you, we have come to this bereavement. I have lost my daughter, who was worth 100 men. I have suffered what befell me by the fire and the loss of my teeth, and my eunuch is dead. I do not blame you for any of this. All was decreed by God. Praised be he that my daughter delivered you, though at the cost of her own life. But now, O my son, depart from my city. What has befallen us on your account is enough. Depart in peace, and if I see you again, I will kill you.
And he cried out at me. I left his presence, knowing not where to go, hardly believing in my escape. I recalled all that had befallen me, and thanked God it was my eye I had lost and not my life. Before leaving the town, I entered the bath, shaved my head and beard, and put on a haircloth garment. Then I wandered at God's will, and every day I wept, repeating these thoughts. I will endure till patience itself is less patient than I, until it pleases God to end my woe. I traveled through many lands until I arrived here at Baghdad this evening, hoping to find mercy in the abode of peace. I found the first calender standing perplexed, so I saluted him and spoke with him. Presently the third calender came up and said,
Peace be upon you. I am a stranger.
We replied, We also are strangers. So we 3 walked on together, none of us knowing the other's story, until chance brought us to this door.
And so the third calender began his story.
I also am a king, the son of a king, and my name is Agib, son of King Kasib. My father died, and I took the kingdom after him and ruled my subjects with justice. My capital city stood on the shore of a wide sea, on which I had 50 merchant ships, 50 vessels for pleasure, and 150 cruisers equipped for war. Near at hand were many great islands. I loved to sail the sea and had a mind to visit the islands. Often I would take ship with provisions and sail among them for my pleasure, then return to my capital. At last, being minded to make a longer voyage upon the ocean, I fitted out 10 ships with provisions for 2 months and sailed for 20 days. One night the wind blew contrary, and the sea rose against us with great billows. Darkness fell. We gave ourselves up for lost. I said, "He who courts danger is not to be commended, though he come off safe." Then we prayed to God, but the wind raged and the waves clashed until daybreak. When the wind fell and the sun shone, we sighted an island. We landed, cooked food, ate, and rested 2 days. Then we set out again and sailed another 20 days without seeing land, but the currents carried us from our course. The captain lost his reckoning. He sent the watch up the mast. The watch called down,
I see nothing to right and left save sky and water, but ahead I see something looming in the midst of the sea, now black and now white.
When the captain heard this, he cast his turban on the deck, plucked his beard, buffeted his face, and said,
O king, we are all dead men. Not one can be saved.
We wept for his weeping. I said, "Tell us what the lookout saw."
O my lord, we lost our way the night of the storm and have gone astray 21 days. There is no wind to bring us back to our course. Tomorrow we shall come to a mountain of black stone called the Lodestone Mountain. The currents bear us there by force. As soon as we come within a certain distance, all the nails in the ships will fly out and fasten to the mountain, and the ships will fall to pieces. God Most High has gifted the lodestone with a secret virtue. All iron is attracted to it. On this mountain is much iron from the many ships wrecked there from old time. On the summit stands a dome of brass raised on 10 columns. On top of the dome are a brass horse and horsemen. The horseman holds a brass lance, and on his breast is a tablet of lead graven with names and talismans. O king, it is this horseman that causes folk to perish. The charm will not be broken until he falls from his horse.
Then he wept, and we all made sure of death, each taking leave of his comrade. That night we could not sleep. In the morning we sighted the mountain. The currents carried us toward it with irresistible force. When the ships came near, they opened, and the nails flew out and clove to the mountain. By day's end, we were all struggling in the sea. Some were saved, but most drowned, and even those who escaped knew nothing of each other in the tumult. As for me, God preserved me. I got onto a plank, and the wind drove it ashore. I found a pathway hewn in the rock like a stair. I called upon God's name and began to climb slowly. God stilled the wind and aided my ascent, so I reached the summit safely. There I found the dome. I entered, gave thanks for my escape, and made my ablutions and prayers. Then I fell asleep and dreamed. Someone said to me,
O son of Tasib, when you wake, dig under your feet. You will find a bow of brass and 3 leaden arrows inscribed with talismans. Take the bow and shoot the arrows at the horseman on the dome's top. You will rid mankind of this great calamity. When you shoot at him, he will fall into the sea and the horse will drop at your feet. Take it and bury it in the place of the bow. Then the sea will swell and rise till it reaches the mountain's top. A boat will appear on the sea with a man of brass holding an oar. He will come to you. Board with him, but beware of naming God. He will row for 10 days and bring you to safety. All this shall be fulfilled if you pronounce not the name of God.
I started from sleep, hastened to do as told, found the bow and arrows, and shot at the horseman. I overthrew him, and he fell into the sea, while the horse dropped at my feet. I buried it. The sea grew troubled and rose till it reached the mountain top. A boat appeared with a man of brass holding an oar, a tablet of lead on his breast, inscribed with names and talismans. I boarded without speaking. The boatman rowed for 10 days until I caught sight of islands and mountains. Rejoicing in the excess of my gladness, I called out, "There is no God but God. God is most great." The boat immediately overturned and cast me into the sea, then righted and sank. I swam the whole day until nightfall, when my arms and shoulders failed me. I made the profession of faith, looking for nothing but death. The sea rose with a great wave that took me up and cast me onto land. I put off my clothes, wrung them, spread them to dry, and slept all night. In the morning, I found I was on a little island surrounded on all sides by the sea. I said to myself, "No sooner do I escape one peril than I fall into worse." As I pondered, I saw a ship far off, making toward the island. I climbed a tree and hid among the branches. The ship anchored and 10 slaves landed with spades. They dug in the middle of the island until they uncovered a trapdoor. They returned to the ship and brought bread, flour, oil, honey, meat, carpets, and all else needed to furnish a dwelling. They went back and forth until they had transferred everything. Then they returned with wearing apparel, and in their midst a very old man, wasted and worn like a bone wrapped in a rag of cloth. He held by the hand a youth cast in the mold of beauty and perfection, fair as a tender sapling. They descended into the underground place and did not reappear for an hour. When they came up without the youth, they replaced the trapdoor, covered it with earth, and returned to the ship, which set sail. As soon as they were out of sight, I came down from the tree, went to the place, cleared away the earth, and raised the trapdoor. I descended a winding stair to a fair chamber, spread with carpets and hung with silken stuffs. The youth sat alone upon a couch with a cushion and fan, sweet-scented flowers and fruits before him. When he saw me, he turned pale. I saluted him, saying, "Calm yourself. No harm shall come to you. I am a man like yourself, whom Providence has sent to bear you company. Tell me your history and why you dwell here alone." When he was assured I was human, he was glad and his color returned. He made me draw near and said,
"Oh, my brother, my story is strange. My father is a merchant jeweler, possessed of great wealth, with black and white slaves trading by ship and camel to distant countries. He had dealings with kings. Until my birth, he had never been blessed with a child. One night he dreamed a son was born to him who lived but a short time, and he woke weeping. The following night my mother conceived, and he noted the date. When she gave birth to me, my father rejoiced and made banquets and fed the poor. Then he assembled the astrologers, mathematicians, and those learned in nativities. They drew my horoscope and said, "Your son will live till age 15, at which there is a break in his line of life. If he passes that in safety, he shall live long. The danger is this: in the sea of peril stands the lodestone mountain, on whose summit is a brass horseman seated on a brass horse with a lead tablet on his breast. 50 days after this horseman falls from his horse, your son will die. His slayer will be he who overthrows the statue, a king called Agib, son of Casib." My father was sore concerned. He brought me up and gave me a good education. 10 days ago, news came that the horseman had fallen into the sea, and he who overthrew him was Agib, son of King Casib. My father was distraught and feared for my life. He built this place and stocked it with all I need during the 40 days that remain of the period of danger. When the 40 days pass, he will come and fetch me. This is why you find me here alone."
When I heard his story, I marveled and said to myself, I am that king Agib, but by Allah, I will not kill him. I said to him, O my Lord, God willing, you shall be spared suffering and death. I will stay with you and serve you. When I have borne you company during the appointed days, I will go with you, and you shall bring me to some of your father's servants, with whom I may journey to my own country. He rejoiced at my words. We sat conversing till nightfall. I rose and lit a candle, fed the lamps, set out meat and drink and sweetmeats. We ate, drank, and talked late into the night. Then he lay down to sleep, and I covered him. Next morning I rose, heated water, woke him gently, and brought him warm water to wash. He thanked me. I set on food, and we ate. I made ready perfumes for him and made a backgammon board. We played, ate sweetmeats, and played again till nightfall. Thus I did with him day and night. The love of him took hold of my heart, and I forgot my troubles. I said to myself, the astrologers lied. By Allah, I will not kill him. I served him and bore him company for 39 days. On the morning of the 40th day, he rejoiced and said,
O my brother, the 40 days are up today. Praise be God who has preserved me from death, and this is through your blessing. Now, brother, heat me some water that I may wash and change my clothes.
With all my heart. I heated water in plenty, carried it to him, and washed him well. He lay down to rest after the bath. Then he said,
O my brother, cut me a melon and sweeten it with sugar candy.
I went to the closet and found a fine melon. I said, O my Lord, have you a knife?
Here it is, on the high shelf at my head.
I got up hurriedly, took the knife, and drew it from its sheath. But in stepping down backward, my foot slipped. I fell heavily on the youth, and the knife was in my hand. It hastened to fulfill what was ordained. It entered his heart, and he died forthright. When I saw he was dead, and that I had indeed killed him, I cried out and buffeted my face and tore my clothes. We are God's, and to him we return. There remained but one day of a danger, and the death of this fair youth was to be at my hand. My life is nothing but disasters. Would I had died before him. I ascended the stair, replaced the trapdoor, and covered it with earth. Looking to see, I saw the ship approaching. I said, they will be here soon and find their son dead and know I killed him. They will slay me without fail. I climbed a high tree and hid in the leaves. The vessel anchored, and the slaves landed with the old man. They went to the place, cleared the earth, and raised the trapdoor. Going down, they found the boy dead with the knife in his breast. They shrieked, wept, and buffeted their faces. The old man fainted, so long they thought he would not survive. They wrapped the dead youth in his clothes, carried him up, and laid him on the ground, covering him with silk. The old man revived and came up. Seeing his son laid out, he fell on the ground, strewed dust on his head, buffeted his face, and tore his beard. His weeping redoubled until he swooned again. The slaves brought a silken carpet and laid him on it. All this time I was in the tree watching, and my heart became hoary before my head for all the grief I had undergone. The old man ceased not from his swoon until near sundown. When he came to himself and looked on his dead son, he wept and recited verses of lamentation. Then he sobbed once and gave up the ghost. The slaves cried out, strewed dust on their heads, and wept sore. They carried both bodies to the ship and set sail. As soon as they were out of sight, I came down, went into the underground dwelling, and remained there. By day's end, I became aware the sea was gradually receding from the western side of the island. By month's end, the water was low enough to afford passage to the mainland. I made my way through the sand and walked until I espied something shining like fire. I made toward it, repeating verses, and found it was a palace with a gate of brass. When the sun shone on it, it gleamed from afar as if it were fire. I sat before the gate. Presently 10 young men came, all sumptuously clad, and all blind of the right eye. They were accompanied by an old man. I marveled that they were all blind of the same eye. They saluted me, and I told them all that had befallen me. They wondered and carried me into the palace. I saw 10 couches with beds and coverlets of blue stuff, ranged in a circle, with a smaller couch in the midst. Each young man went to his own couch, and the old man seated himself on the smaller one. They said,
O youth, sit on the ground and ask nothing of our doings nor of the loss of our right eyes.
The old man rose and brought each of us food and drink in separate vessels. We sat talking till night was far spent. Then they said,
O elder, will you not bring us our ordinary? The time has come.
He went to a closet, disappeared, and returned bearing on his head 10 dishes, each covered with blue stuff. He set a dish before each youth and lit 10 candles, one on each dish. Then he uncovered the dishes, and lo, they were full of ashes, charcoal, and soot. All the young men tucked up their sleeves and fell to weeping and lamenting. They blackened their faces, rent their clothes, buffeted their cheeks, and beat their breasts, exclaiming,
We were seated at our ease, but our impertinent curiosity would not let us be.
They did this till near daybreak, when the old man heated water for them. They washed their faces and put on fresh clothes. My senses left me for wonderment. My heart was troubled and my mind perplexed. I forgot what had befallen me and could not refrain from questioning them. I said, What makes you do thus? Praise be God, you are whole of wit, yet these are the doings of madmen. I beg you, tell me why you behave thus, and how you lost each an eye.
O young man, do not let your youth beguile you. Leave your questioning.
They slept and I with them. The next night the same thing happened. I abode with them a month. Every night they blackened their faces, then washed and changed. My trouble increased till I could neither eat nor drink. At last I said, O young men, if you will not relieve my concern, let me leave you and return to my own people.
O youth, we have not concealed this from you except out of concern for you, lest what befell us befall you and you become like us.
It avails not. You must tell me.
We give you good advice. Take it and leave questioning us, or you will become one-eyed like us.
But I persisted. They said,
O youth, if this thing befalls you, we warn you we will never again receive you into our company.
Then they took a ram, slaughtered it, skinned it, and gave me a knife. They said,
Lie down on the skin and we will sew you up in it and leave you. A bird called the roc will catch you up in its claws and fly away with you. It will set you down on a mountain. When you feel it alight, slit the skin with the knife and come forth. The bird will take fright and fly away. Then rise and walk half a day till you come to a palace rising high into the air, built of precious woods and plated with red gold, inlaid with emeralds and jewels. Enter and you will attain your desire. We all have been there, and this is the cause of the loss of our eyes and why we blacken our faces.
They sewed me in the skin and left me. The roc carried me off and set me on the mountain. I cut open the skin and came out. The bird flew away. I walked till I reached the palace. The door stood open. I entered and found a very wide hall, as big as a tilting ground, with 100 doors of precious wood plated with gold and silver all around it. At the upper end I saw 40 young ladies, sumptuously clad and adorned like moons. They came to me, saying,
Welcome, O my Lord. This month past we have been expecting someone like you. Praise be God who has sent us one worthy of us, and we of him. From today you are our Lord and Master.
I marveled at their case. One set food before me. I ate while others heated water and washed my hands and feet and changed my clothes. Others made sherbets and gave me to drink. They were full of joy at my coming. Then they sat and conversed with me till nightfall, when 5 arose and spread a mat covered with flowers and fruits and confections and set on wine. We sat to drink while some sang and others played instruments. The cup went round, and such gladness possessed me, I forgot all cares and said, This is life, but that it is fleeting. We drank and made merry till late night. They said,
Choose from among us one who shall be your bedfellow tonight, and not lie with you again till 40 days be past.
I chose a fair girl and lay with her that night, never knowing a fairer. When it was morning, they carried me to the bath, washed me, clad me in rich clothes, and served up food. We ate and drank, and the cup went round till night when I chose another. To make a long story short, I led the goodliest life with them for a whole year, every night taking one or other to my bed. At year's end, they came to me in tears, bidding me farewell and clinging to me weeping. I said, What ails you? You break my heart.
Would we had never known you. We have companied with many, but never saw one pleasanter or more courteous than you. Now we must part from you. It rests with you to see us again if you hearken to us. Our hearts forebode you will not, and this is why we weep.
Tell me how the case stands.
We are daughters of kings who have lived here together for years past. Once every year we are absent for 40 days, then return and abide here for the rest of the year, eating and drinking and making merry. We are now about to depart according to our custom. We fear lest you disobey our injunctions in our absence, in which case we shall never see you again. But if you do as we bid, all will yet be well. Take these keys to the 100 apartments of the palace. 99 you may open and take your pleasure therein. But beware lest you open the 100th, that which has a door of red gold. Therein is that which will bring about separation between us and you.
I will not open the 100th door if therein be separation from you. One embraced me and wept. I said, By Allah, I will never open it. They bade me farewell and departed. When evening drew near, I opened the first door and found myself in an orchard full of blooming trees laden with fruit. The air resounded with singing birds and rippling water. The sight brought solace to my soul. I locked it at day's end. Next day I opened the second and found a great pleasaunce with palm trees watered by a running stream, bordered by roses and jessamine and carpeted with narcissus and violets and lilies. The breeze scattered scents. My chagrin lightened. Thus I opened a door each day, exploring the palace's riches, until I had opened 99 doors. Only one remained, that which I was forbidden to open. But my thoughts ran ever on it, and Satan urged me to open it. I had no patience to forbear, though only one day of the appointed time remained. I opened the 100th door, that plated with red gold. I was met by a perfume of such subtle quality, I fell down as if intoxicated. When I revived and entered, I found the place strewn with saffron and blazing with lamps that diffused musk and aloes. In the midst stood a horse, black as night, girt and bridled and saddled with red gold, before 2 mangers of crystal, one full of winnowed sesame, the other of rose water flavored with musk. I was amazed and said, This horse must be of extraordinary value. The devil tempted me. I took him out and mounted him, but he would not stir. I spurred him with my heel, but he did not move. I took a switch and struck him. When he felt the blow, he gave a neigh like roaring thunder, spread a pair of wings, and flew up with me high into the air. After a while he descended and set me on the terrace of a palace, then shook me off his back and smote me on the face with his tail, striking out my right eye. He flew away, leaving me there. I went down into the palace and found myself again among the 10 one-eyed youths. They exclaimed when they saw me,
An ill welcome to you.
"Behold, I am become like you. Now give me a dish of soot, that I may blacken my face and admit me to your company."
By Allah, you shall not abide with us. Depart hence.
They drove me away. I went out, mourning and tearful, saying to myself, I was sitting at my ease, but my impertinent curiosity would not let me be. Then I shaved my beard and eyebrows, renounced the world, became a calendar, and wandered about God's earth. By his blessing, I arrived at Baghdad in safety this evening, and met the first and second calendars standing bewildered. I saluted them, saying, I am a stranger. They replied, We also are strangers. And as it chanced, we were all calendars, and each blind of the right eye.
And so the tale reached its end. When the 3 calendars had finished their tales, the company marveled at all that had befallen 3 princes who now stood before them as one-eyed wanderers. Then Ja'far came forward and repeated the tale he had told the portress about being merchants from Tiberias.
I pardon you all. Go your ways.
So they went out into the street. There the Caliph, still in disguise, asked the 3 calendars where they meant to go, and when they answered that they had nowhere to turn, he bade them spend the rest of the night under his protection. When day dawned, the Caliph sent for the 3 ladies and the 2 black bitches and commanded that the truth of their mysteries be told. This tale returns to the larger story of the porter and the 3 ladies of Baghdad.